Cage Minds, joined by Whitney Tobin, talking Lion Fight 54. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? How's camp going? How's everything?
It's been really good. I heard about this fight way back in December, and I've basically been training since I heard about it. We had our wedding in February in New Zealand, and we were even training when we went back to our old gym. So I'm ready for this fight.
With you and your husband, Muay Thai is life, right?
Correct. That's how we met. I started Muay Thai in the South Island of New Zealand, and Andrew, my husband, started in the North Island. And so he actually fought 4 of my friends. And eventually my visa ran up and I went back to the States, and I kept fighting back in Minnesota, the state that I'm from. And I got a call from my old trainer who asked me to come back and represent the U.S. in a fight versus New Zealand. And because of the cross promotion of my old trainer being the promoter, he couldn't corner me. So it was actually Andrew's trainer that cornered me, and asked me to come back and fight. And then that's how we started dating.
So here's probably a question you've answered a bunch. How does an American cheerleader end up a Muay Thai fighter in New Zealand?
So my brother's been doing karate since we were 8 years old, and so he runs a studio in Minnesota. So I've kind of been around the martial arts world since the get-go. But I was a competitive cheerleader for 8 years, and when I studied abroad, I had an ex-boyfriend at the time who was like, I think you're going to love kickboxing because I know you hate working out at the gym, and I know you want to get back into a sport, because I had that year off in between cheerleading and Muay Thai, and so gained a little bit of roundness to myself and needed a bit of trimming and just wanted a different kind of motivation, because nothing drives me more than competition. And I think it was about 2 weeks into training they threw me into sparring, and I loved it. And 6 months later I had my first fight, and I haven't stopped fighting since.
And how long ago was that?
About 8 years, and 46 fights later.
What has that been like?
It's been a hell of a ride. I started out really heavy, so that transition was really big for me. Learning to kind of deal with my body kind of going through a roller coaster of starting big to going small. I used to be about usually around 5 pounds underweight than my opponents for my first 10 fights, because I just kept losing weight naturally through my camps, because we didn't cut weight as much in my first 10 fights. And so after about like my 10th fight, I cracked my ribs in one of my fights, and I was like, okay, these are bigger girls and they're a lot taller. I need to start, trimming down and fighting at a more natural competitive weight for me. And that kind of happened more when I went back to the States. And then, and then once I went back to New Zealand, that's when I started fighting more for titles. And then Andrew got a job in Australia, so in between there I've gone to Thailand 4 times, and then I pursued fighting still when we moved to Australia. So I fought for a different gym called PTJ, continued fighting professionally for them. And I've met so many amazing people on the way, and so many great trainers that for this camp, I've really had to put it all together. This is kind of like the final test. I've had so many quizzes and different teachers along the way, that this is kind of my postdoc thesis of my career. So it's quite exciting.
In the journey, how did it lead to you guys coming to Albuquerque?
So Andrew was finishing his postdoc in Australia, and he was offered a job at Sandia Labs, and unfortunately we still had our lease up for another 3 months, and so I had to stay in Australia because I was booked for another 2 professional fights as well. So he left in January, and so I said, well, this is the time for me to go to Thailand if I'm going to do it for a long time. And so I'd asked the owners of Santai if they would sponsor me. And so in between going from Australia to Albuquerque, I was actually in Chiang Mai, Thailand for 6 months. So we were apart for 8 months in that time. And so it's been really special in this fight camp that he's been kind of my right-hand man. He's my #1 clinch partner, sparring partner, pad holder, drilling partner. We set everything out before we train every night. We talk about it before we come to training, so we know what we're doing, and we just jam-pack it all in 2 hours. So it's like a private session every single time we go to training. So well prepared for this.
Huge opportunity, a lion fight, North American super bantamweight title. I hope I got all that out there and in the correct order.
It's perfect.
What do you think of this fight, the opportunity itself, getting a fight for this title?
Oh, it's fantastic. Lion Fight's been around for a while, and they're known as the #1 promotion in America. They've had such great names like Kaylee Reese, Kevin Ross, Tiffany Van Sust, Iman Barlow, just some amazing names with beautiful technique. And, I hope to keep that tradition going by presenting, beautiful Muay Thai when I fight.
Getting in the ring with Candice Michell in the title fight. What do you think of this fight? What do you think is going to make the difference between you two?
I definitely have a fair few more fights than her, and I've been fighting longer. She does have the weight and the height advantage on me, so it's going to be kind of who uses their strengths best. Literally, is it the mind or the bronze? So it'll play out over 5 rounds, especially it being here in Albuquerque. So. We're above sea level, so that might play a difference, especially because she'll be cutting a lot lower.
First time for lion fights here in Albuquerque. First time we're having major Muay Thai. I couldn't be more excited. Could you help me kind of educate the fans a little bit on how much of a mental chess match Muay Thai is versus looking like a brawl?
The Thais, they always say, win or lose, it doesn't matter, just fight beautiful. So when you watch like a really well matched fight, you're seeing one fighter figure out another fighter round by round, and the great fighters are the ones that take away the strengths of the other fighter and make them look silly in the ring. And when you can see that other fighter mentally getting broken down round by round, that's beautiful Muay Thai, when they literally have nothing left. Everything's been taken away from them, even their greatest strengths. That's beautiful Muay Thai, not just 2 wild dogs going at it.
And how has this art form spoken to you?
It's done heaps for me. Just controlling my nutrition, keeping me active, a huge amount of discipline that goes into this, and as well as gaining a lot of patience. That's patience through whether your advancement in your skill, your winning or losing, or having to deal with different characters in the gym, or all these different things that that they actually, it's the exact same things that you deal with in your normal life, but almost, when you're going through a fight camp with all the emotions, everything is magnified ×2 because you're low carb. And above all, just so much the friendships and the bonds that you make along the way. It's a very cruel sport, and there's not much that you gain from it. There's not much glory. It's very small. But the people and the moments are just something that you can't pay for.
8 days away. Can you describe your excitement?
I've been waiting for this moment for a very long time. Like I said, I've been training since December, and I've been focused every single day. I just can't wait to let it all out in the ring.
Do you have anybody you need to thank, shout out to?
I just want to thank everyone here at Luttrell's. they're just super nice, especially Ray Yee. He's really opened up his arms to us and, you know, made us feel so welcome, as well as introducing us to such great coaches, like the other Raymond, as well as I've been working with Sergio, the boxing coach, who is just an absolute gem, and, you know, he's a world-class boxing trainer. And I obviously, you know, big shout out to my husband, who's been there since day one dealing with me, and just everyone that's been there for me along the way, training partners, you know, my trainers from all my different gyms. You know, it's all led to here, so thank you.
April 20th, Lion Fight 54 is at the Route 66 Casino, or you can watch it on CBS Sports Network.